Kick it off here. I'll get the tweet ready. Wait and see if we're streaming. And there we go. All right, we're good. It is the MLB Strategy Show special 9:30 slash 10 o'clock start time. You got to have the schedulers tell the talent when they want the show to start because that would always be helpful. But hey, here we are. We're going to hit this one out of the park literally in 1 hour or less because we have an 11 o'clock NFL show. We have all sorts of NFL shows in the can. Definitely check that out at the Awesemo YouTube channel. Let's hit this tweet here and we will be good to go. The slate is broken down. There's 4 games in the 4 o'clock hour. We are looking at 2 at 4, 2 at 6, and then 11 games on the main slate. Prize pool is a little smaller than normal because, hey, again, all eyes are on the NFL. The one thing you will want to remember if you want to play MLB tomorrow, get in those contests tonight because they are going to be incredibly small tomorrow. We will, of course, have projections, popularity, all that stuff, but we will not be doing any MLB shows because we will have 2 or 3 hours of NFL coming to you before kickoff. And then we've got a special show Sunday night, showdown slates. That will be going off about 45 minutes before kickoff. That will be myself and the debut of a new contributor here. So tune in and check that out. Adam, let's get this done here. Let's get this done. Shout out to Cesar. Good morning. I don't think Cesar sleeps ever because he's always commenting early. He's out on the West Coast, Adam, and he never misses a morning show. I believe he is working swing shift or third shift. So props to Cesar. All right, first game. Let me get the right stuff up here. Pitching is going to be interesting, at least when we get to the main slate, early slate. It's sort of catch as catch can. Our first game here, we have the announced pitcher finally for Boston is going to be Travis Lekins. He's 8,000 on DK. You have J.A. Happ also at 8,000. These guys are priced for their. Happ has been absolutely a mess. Really want no part of him since the beginning of last season. He's allowing just shy of a 2 home run per 9 to righties. No bueno. 51 total home runs across 1,300 and some at bats. So that's not good. What do you want to do with this first game with the 12 implied run total?
Yeah, I think it's just about the bats here. I don't know much about Lakins. I'm trying to pull him up on Fangraphs now, but I assume he's not someone that I want to roster against the Yankees. And then on the other side, I know for sure that I'm not interested in Happ against the Red Sox. His strikeout percentage is back down to 18.5%, 19% this year. Gives up plenty of power. Red Sox have plenty of power. Travis Lakins on Fangraphs listed as the 13th prospect in the Red Sox system, not ranked in the top 100 overall. 45 innings pitched at AAA this year, 1 start. So yeah, not stretched out.
All right. So nothing exciting there really going into the teeth. Offense. We don't have any of the projected lineups yet. They'll be our next game. Here, I would like to go with, any of the Yankees. Edwin Jackson is back. Remember, I think he had a wrist tendon or some sort of issue, but he's back, which just further augments their lineup. They're firing on all cylinders right now, they being the Yankees. Boston, on the other hand, Rafael Devers, not horrible in lefty-lefty matchups. They're all priced up on DK, though. Mookie Betts coming off yet another multi-home run game. He got 2 last night. He's fantastic. And then, of course, you get Sam Travis, who will be pinch hit at the first opportunity, but if he gets a couple at-bats against Happ, always a chance that he can take one deep. Our next game here is going to be, as mentioned, in Cincinnati. Alex Young is going for the Diamondbacks. I'm not really excited by him, but he is in the mix as an SP2 on the 2 pitcher side. On the other side, you have Luis Castillo, who is arguably the best pitcher, and we're going to talk about 3 of them on this early slate. He does get to pitch in the NL. Tough home ballpark, but he's going against Arizona. They're coming into this one with 3.9 implied run total. Luis Castillo really locked down this season, much improved against lefties, and is absolutely phenomenal. How are you going to come into this with Castillo, Morton, and Caleb Smith amongst our 8 options?
I think between Castillo and Morton, it's really interesting because Morton has a better strikeout matchup. He's actually been the better pitcher this year. As good as Castillo has been, Morton has a higher strikeout percentage, higher K minus BB percentage, lower Sierra, lower XFIP, and he's less expensive on DraftKings. So I think that Morton's the better option of the two, but I could see ownership, really favoring him. And if that's the case, you're getting a very comparable ceiling from Castillo. It's just that his median projection and his probability of hitting that ceiling, I think, are a little bit lower than it is for Morton. So really interesting between the two for me, ownership wise. But as far as just Castillo goes, by himself, I think that even though it is a tough matchup against Arizona, not a lot of strikeouts in the lineup. Looking at the projected lineup, the only guy in there that strikes out at an above average rate is Christian Walker and Alex Young. But he's good enough strikeout wise that I'm not overly concerned about the matchup. It's more how much of an ownership difference are we going to get between Castillo and Morton.
All right. Well, let me tell you, because we do have that posted. Currently, Morton on DK 63, Castillo 38. In between them is Caleb Smith at 52. Does that feel about right to make the pivot over there to Castillo?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be fading Morton just because he's 63%, but I do think that getting basically 2-1 on Castillo versus Morton, $700 discount or $700 price difference in some lineups will matter, but in some it won't. So I could see making that pivot in lineups where you have that money and it's not changing your lineup. You're just getting the lower owned out of the two ace pitchers.
All right. And then on FanDuel, it is Morton 43, Caleb 29, and Castillo 19. So it is true 2-1 there. All right, let's continue. If there were any one hitter or two hitters that you were a little nervous about going against Castillo, assuming, well, I mean, you mentioned Walker as being the one strikeout guy. He does have the power. Well, I guess it's Marte, Escobar, and Walker, but I'm not worried about any.
Yeah, I'm not overly worried about any of them, but they are good hitters that put the ball in play. Against lefties this year, he's allowed a 143 expected ISO. Against righties, it's 0.098. So I guess if I had to choose one guy, I would be looking to lefties, and then the lefties with the most power are Marte and Escobar.
All right, continuing along here to the Reds hitters. Aristides Aquino, amazing, just absolutely amazing. He is now priced up to $5,600 there on DK. Over on you get FanDuel, he is $4,300. That is the second most expensive player, just behind Mookie Betts. And then on the old Yahoo, he is 25. This is the native of the full slate, but Trout 28, JD Martinez 27. Soto 26, Betts 25, Harper 25, Jordan Alvarez 25, Marcano 25. So he's right in there with the cream of the crop. That is just absolutely impressive. He would be the one guy I would like. I don't hate Phillip Ervin. He does get the righty-lefty matchup. Should see a bit of a boost in the lineup order. However, power is not always his calling card. Eugenio Suarez would definitely be the guy to pair it with Aquino, but you're going to spend on it, and that's just the way it's going to be. Any thoughts on the Reds bats as we move on through this?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty nice spot for them. Alex Young isn't awful, but he's not particularly scary either. 18% strikeout percentage this year against righties, 181 ISO, and this park plays up power more than his home park in Chase Field. So Eugenio Suarez and Aquino, both expensive, but I think both really good options. And you get some value with guys like Irvin, Jose Iglesias, who's actually been an above average hitter against left-handed pitching over the last few years. Nick Senzel possibly back in the lineup. If he's not back in the lineup, you'll probably get Alex Blandino back at the top. And he's not a good hitter, but he is really cheap. He is second base eligible and potentially leading off. So Cincinnati, I think, has some appealing bats. One, with Suarez and Aquino, just from an overall upside perspective, but then also with guys like Irvin and Iglesias from a value perspective.
All right, the 6 o'clock games, we've got a pair of them, starting off with Kansas City in Miami, taking on the Marlins. Couple of southpaws on the mound. Danny Duffy going against Caleb Smith. Caleb Smith is underrated. He, not necessarily in DFS circles, but not really even in season long are people looking at him still. And here we are at the end of the year. Nice strikeout upside comes with him going against the Royals lineup that is going to be using the pitcher instead of the designated hitter, and in a major park downgrade here. Talk to me about the youngster Caleb Smith.
I think his salary is just a little bit too cheap here. You mentioned he's getting a lot of ownership, and I would expect that to be the case because the price really jumps off the page. But 8,900 on DraftKings, 7,400 on FanDuel, I think is even crazier. 46 on Yahoo, pretty comparable to DraftKings. So I don't really know why he's so cheap. You know, I know you've mentioned that Miami said they wanted to scale back his how deep he's going in the games or his pitches, but he threw 89 pitches in his last game and gave up, I think it was 6 runs. So most likely was pulled just because he was doing terrible. And prior to that, he was throwing over 100 pitches per start. So I don't know how much they're looking to limit him. And I definitely think that however much they're looking to limit him is made up for by this price drop. For Kansas City, you know, you do have some good right-handed hitters at the top, and Smith does struggle somewhat with right-handed power, but the park downplays the home run risk, and his strikeout stuff's really, really good against righties. So I think that he's clearly a great value.
And he, you know, maybe, I mean, it's a home start. Not that anybody's really going to be in attendance for an Miami when there's so many other interesting things to do. Plus, you know, hey, we'll see what they do. I think this would be a good matchup for. He may not do that. I just wanted to see this. What the other thing we're gonna. It wouldn't surprise me, I guess is a better way of saying it, if they kind of shut him down. Currently, they are home through Thursday. Then they go on a road trip. Then they have a 3-game homestand, September 20, 21 weekend series, and then they're on the road for their final 7 games of the season. Wouldn't shock me if he doesn't start after that Washington series. Just in the interest of maintaining some health or whatever from that standpoint. On the other side, Danny Duffy. I know he's someone that you've looked at multiple times this season. Sort of a lost season for him. Let's see, he has been dealing with a myriad of issues, most recently a hamstring strain that kept him out for the majority of August. He did make one start on September 1st, went 90 pitches, so I'm guessing we're going to get 90 pitches from him here. He's going to face a very righty-heavy lineup, but if we go up and down their lineup, Adam, we're hard-pressed to find people over 140 ISO in this lineup.
Yeah, it's not like I'm really excited about Duffy. Facing this many righties, he has about an 18.5% strikeout percentage against right-handed hitters this year. You definitely prefer him against lefties, but with it being a 4-game slate and him being at a $6,500 price tag on DraftKings, which of course is a 2-pitcher site, and he's at $36 on Yahoo, which isn't quite as appealing, but it's not bad. He just offers a lot of value pitching in this park against a very weak Miami lineup. I would feel better if he were right-handed, but because you can see guys like Rojas, Ramirez, Cooper, Castro, all potentially doing damage against him, but he's cheap enough where just getting innings out of him is valuable.
Yeah. It looks like the only guys I'd be nervous about probably, I mean, any of these guys could run into the one, but John Birdie and then Castro. Castro's have a nice little resurgent season here as the veteran presence there in the dumpster fire, sitting inside of a tire fire. That is the Derek Jeter Miami Marlins. Cruising along our last early game, we've got Anthony Kay coming up for his start. He's going against the Tampa Bay Rays and Charlie Morton. We've got Kay here I'm trying to remember. So he came in from the Stroman trade. He has been with the Mets prior to that. Made a couple starts with his new organization. Has about a 9 strikeout per 9 in the minors. Hasn't really done a ton at the high minors, but here we are. He's up. He's 5,400, and he's a lefty. And he's pitching in a phenomenal park. What do you want to do with the $5,400 pitcher on DraftKings?
What's his?
He's been going about 90, 85 to 90 in the minors.
No, his ownership compared to Duffy on DraftKings.
Sorry.
K at 6, Duffy at 33. If that holds, it's an appealing pivot. He is $1,100 cheaper, gets you probably a better bat in your lineup. But more than that, it's just that while Duffy is the preferred option, it's not like it's a spot that you have tons of confidence in Duffy going against 8 or 9 righties. And it's a 4-game slate. So if you can differentiate there, I think that it makes some sense. It's a really good park for K. 5.4 implied run total for Tampa. Clearly not a safe spot. They're not a great team to go against. They also have a lot of right-handed hitters, and they're better than the Marlins. So it's purely a tournament pivot. But if you're going to get basically 6-1 on Danny Duffy versus Anthony Kay, and you're getting an $1,100 savings on Kay, I don't think it's crazy.
Who draws more fans today, the Marlins or the Tampa Bay Rays?
The Bay Sox.
All right. Let's see. Charlie Morton, you kind of mentioned him. Wrap it up one more time here for everybody that's slowly coming into the show amongst our three key pitchers on our early 4-game slates.
He's been the best pitcher on the slate this season. 30.2% strikeout percentage leads the slate. 22.9% K minus BB percentage leads the slate. 3.59 Sierra leads the slate. Just a really, really good pitcher. And he's got a pretty decent matchup against Toronto. They certainly have talent in their lineup, but it's a lot of young prospects that aren't proven major league hitters yet, still have some holes in their swings, and it's a good pitcher's park as well. So really affordable price tag on Morton. Pretty good matchup. I think that ownership aside, he's the number one pitcher.
All right, just doing a little timestamp here. We're 16 minutes in, so we will start in on the main slate. We have 11 games here. Reminder that we are sponsored by sponsor here of the DFS Strategy Show. We do have a $3 management fee free tournament. There are just 1,000 spots in it today. Definitely lock. We have the $1 Million Baller tomorrow, which is going to be interesting to see how full it gets. There is no rake on that, which means no management fees, which means $1 million in, $1 million out. If it fills, whatever in. If it doesn't fill, and $1 million still out. 100,000 the first. 10 entry max. It's $25 per entry, but I'm going to get my 10 in here. I'm working on that. They also have $1, $5, $3 contests, etc. Very, very friendly for the more casual gamer. You're not going against 150 lineups from luminaries such as Alex Osimo Baker, the Tom J.K. and Fast Eddie, or 1-800 Eddie. You are going against their best 10 against your best 10. That sounds like a plan I'm willing to partake in. So definitely check that out. Dropping in the link to the Spotlight Hitters and Pitchers article. Third paragraph does have the link and instructions on how you can sign up and get up to $30 with your initial deposit matched in Yahoo Sports rewards points, YSRPs. Those are available for immediate use into any contest. Adam, cruising in here. It is your Baltimore Orioles taking on the Texas Rangers. It's going to be right around 80 here at first pitch in the DC area. Pleasantly cool this morning. I mean, we're like at 72 right now down here in Northern Virginia. So it's kind of nice, not overly hot, not overly humid. Still one of the better weather parks that we have. And of course, Camden Yards, a bit of a home run haven. You have Jonathan Hernandez making the start here for Texas. On the other side, you have Aaron Brooks. Aaron Brooks is fully assimilated into being a Baltimore Oriole pitcher. Adam, his home run rate keeps creeping up. His strikeout rate is marginal, and then he's still got that fantastic weight, that not so fantastic bullpen coming in behind him. Potential stack here on both sides?
Yeah, I think so. Brooks has had a couple of decent starts recently, but nothing that I can find in his numbers point to any reason to expect sustained improvements out of him relative to where he has been for his entire career so far. Texas, not the best offense, but they are better against right-handed pitching because you get Chu, Calhoun, Santana, and Odor all with the platoon advantage. Nick Solak projects right now as an average hitter, and he is their top prospect. Elvis Andrus is whatever at the top of the lineup. He puts the ball in play at least and can run a little bit. So I think Texas is appealing just because Brooks isn't very good. The Baltimore bullpen is not very good. And then on the other side, Jonathan Hernandez mostly has been a starter at AAA this year. He's made 3 appearances for Texas, all out of the bullpen, but through 96 innings at AAA, 22.7% strikeout percentage, 9.1% walk percentage, 46.5% ground ball percentage, allowed 1.0. This was a AA. So he hasn't pitched a AAA at all. Allowed 1.03 home runs per 9 at AA. So doesn't seem like he's likely to be very good, at least yet. He has a 60 grade fastball, 60 grade slider. So looks like he has good stuff, but 40 grade commands. So doesn't put it where he wants to. So I think that both sides of this game offensively are pretty appealing.
You have to be secretly thrilled, maybe not so secretly, Santander. Just been outstanding for the last couple of weeks. I mean, he's flirting with the 400 batting average. He's got, I think he got another home run last night. He's just putting it all together. This is kind of exciting. Have you been this excited since Melvin Mora?
It's been kind of annoying because he's been doing it every night, and I just haven't been rostering him. But yeah, I am excited about him. He was a Rule 5 guy a couple of years ago, and they managed to keep him on the team. And now it's seemingly paying off. I mean, he has a 117 WRC plus this season, 234 ISO. I mean, that's legitimately good numbers, 19.2% strikeout percentage. I'm pretty excited about him, and he's only 24.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think over his last 14 days, he has like a 200 WRC plus. I was trying to see, um, I was looking at some of the hot streaking or the streaking hitters the other 2 days ago, just kind of seeing who was where, and he was popping up on a lot of the charts. I was like, wow, that kind of caught me off guard with that one, but sort of interesting. They're being mindful of the time here. We'll cruise along here to our next game. We have the St. Louis Cardinals in Pittsburgh taking on the Pirates. It's going to be in the low 70s here. We have a light breeze from 6 to 9 miles an hour going out to center field. Adam Wainwright, 37 years old, and still going strong, it seems like. He's been able to do okay against righties this season. Lefties, a bit of a trouble spot for him, and the Pirates do have a fair number of lefties or switch hitters that they will run out there in the lineup. On the other side, you have Steven Brault, who does a pretty good job of limiting limiting home runs. But he is someone I'm not exactly scared of. I don't really want either pitcher in this game. How are you feeling about the offenses?
I don't really want either pitcher either. I think that you can make salary exceptions for Adam Wainwright on Yahoo at 31 and for Brault on DraftKings at 6K. It's not that I expect a good start from Brault at all. I don't like the matchup. You have probably a middle of the order for St. Louis that features Goldschmidt, Ozuna, De Jong, Molina, and then you have every hitter in the lineup probably except for one will be right-handed. So I don't think it's a very good spot for him, but there's very limited SP2 options on the slate. So rolling the dice on some Steven Brault in tournaments on DraftKings specifically, I think is okay, but nothing that I actually like.
I saw this on a tweet. How many stolen bases do you think Colton Wong?
Who do you follow that's tweeting about Colton Wong stolen bases? I have
Probably
no
Peter
idea.
Gammons.
I have no idea.
20, but 20 of 22. That success rate's relatively impressive.
Yeah.
It's a career high. Another thing you always want to kind of look at this time of year is seeing where some of these guys are with regards to round numbers or milestones. So if you see anybody that's got 17 stolen bases, odds are over the next 3 weeks they're going to try to get 3 more. And then we've got a few guys battling for the stolen base leaders. I bring that up just because Raul Mondesi has a chance to take over the league from Malik Smith, despite missing a chunk of the season. These are the fun little things you got to start paying attention to with what is going on here in the MLB. Let's hit our next game here. All right, this one a little tougher. So you got Marcus Stroman, fantastic ground ball rate. He's going against the Phillies. They're kind of they went on a nice little run, but they're falling apart again, seemingly doing it with smoke and mirrors at this point. Stroman is 9,500. That is a tall price to pay there on DraftKings, but he is a little bit more manageable. Where is he here? He is 31 on Yahoo, so I do like that, or 32. How do you feel about Stroman in this matchup against the Phillies, who are mediocre at best?
Yeah, it's a pretty mediocre lineup for Philadelphia. It is a negative park shift for them. Stroman's a good pitcher in real life. He's pretty good at limiting runs. He's really good at getting ground balls, has one of the lowest barrels per batted ball percentages this year. It's just that skill set doesn't translate to fantasy. He has a 19.9% strikeout percentage, and on DraftKings, he's $9,500. So he's priced for his ground ball ability, basically, and that doesn't do you any good. On Yahoo at 32, I think that's a good play because at that price tag, for one, there's not a lot of options around him that are comparable in terms of talent. And two, at that price tag, there is some value in just getting a handful of strikeouts and getting 6 or 7 innings out of someone. So it's a good play on Yahoo, much less appealing to me on DraftKings.
And on the other side, we have Drew Smiley. Solid strikeout numbers, but price is creeping up. He's not the discount dandy that he was when appearing or first appearing here with Philadelphia. I don't hate the ballpark. I don't hate the matchup, but price tag on DK is, in comparison to everybody on the slate, he's about the 16th most expensive pitcher. But he is coming with a lot of risk still. In his last game, he did have 8 strikeouts. Game before, in 5 innings. Game before that, 5 2/3, 4. 3 innings, 4. He's going to go about 90 pitches. Is this the price point where we have to get off the train, or in the context of no Coors Field, no Texas, no real massive ballpark that we want to target? Is he a decent SP2 at his current price?
I'm not interested. The price tag's come up. He's got a tough matchup with the Mets. Not a lot of strikeouts in the lineup. Really, the only guy in the top 6 or 7 that strikes out at a high clip against left-handed pitching is Peter Alonso, and that's clearly not a plus matchup for Drew Smyly. So really, really tough spot, and his price tag has come up for it. I don't see getting there.
All right, let's head on to the next game because we got another cheapie. Dylan Covey, 4,200 going against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, who are putting out Andrew Heaney. Heaney is one of the more expensive pitchers on the slate, just a little bit below Verlander across the board. Nice matchup here for him. The Angels are looking at a 4.5 implied run total coming towards them. They have a 5.6 implied run total. What do you want to do with batting practice pitcher Dylan Covey?
I mean, he's 4,200, but he's just so bad. He gets a lot of ground balls, and that's about the only good thing you can say about him. He's got a really tough matchup, although it looks like Trout and Pujols are both questionable. So maybe you get a watered down Angels lineup, which would make him viable, I guess, maybe. But yeah, he's terrible. I would rather just get Angels bats.
So this is what I wrote in the. I was a little rummy when I was editing myself, and I chose not to edit this. But I said in the Spotlight Pitchers or Hitters article, "Yep, we're not surprisingly, we're going to be going against shitty pitcher right-hander Dylan Covey." Yeah, line them up. Angels in the outfield, Angels everywhere. Cole Calhoun. Has 28 home runs. That is a career high. He has been hitting them off righties, hitting them off lefties, relatively solid. So if he is winning the game of roulette as to which of their 5 outfielders end up being in the game, definitely look to him. Where's Heaney filling in for you against Verlander? Not enough of a discount.
Really site dependent. On DraftKings, it's really tough. He's 11.5, and while I do think he's a really good pitcher, he's been great this year when he's been healthy. He has a 29% strikeout percentage, 3.92 SIERA, and his matchup against the White Sox offers plenty of strikeout upside. They have power, but they do strike out a lot. But it's just so tough to pay 11.5 for Heaney when you have Verlander for 900 more on DraftKings. On FanDuel, though, Andrew Heaney is 8,800, whereas Verlander's 12.5. So I love that gap in price for Andrew Heaney. And then on Yahoo, it's $62 for Verlander, 45 for Heaney. So I think he's one of the top pitching options on the slate on Yahoo and FanDuel, and he's real close to impossible to get to on DraftKings.
All right. Reminder, we do have a show coming up after ours that'll go off at 11 o'clock. That is going to be the NFL Strategy Show presented by Yahoo. You're going to see Chris Rantone and Sal Vitri, who has really jumped on board here with us at Osmo and is cranking out the shows. We've seen a couple strategy shows with him and Laffy already this week. He does a fantastic job. If you've not seen his work previously on his channel or earlier this week, definitely check it out. You'll find that he has some intriguing insights and is a fresh voice from what we are used to hearing. So definitely tune in at 11 o'clock for that one. Continuing along here, Adam, the Mariners, Justin Verlander, UC Kikuchi, Justin Verlander, 2 of the league leaders in home runs allowed. One I'm not surprised with, the other I'm a little surprised. We all know that Verlander just pipes them, is amazing, coming off a no-hitter, and will give up the occasional solo home run, similar to Max Scherzer, but he is phenomenal. This matchup, the Mariners are just going to be overmatched. They have a 2.9 implied run total. Yes, they do have a ton of lefties in there, but they're falling off. I think Omar Narvaez is healthy again. Dan Vogelbach has had his moments, but I don't think he can keep up with Verlander's fastball in this one. So no one here really makes me nervous against Verlander. The only thing is the price, Adam. He is priced for perfection, literally.
Yeah, and you mentioned the lefties. That's actually kind of a benefit for Verlander. He has a 38.4% strikeout percentage against lefties this year compared to 31.6 against righties. 174 ISO to lefties, 210 to righties. He's obviously elite against everyone, but he's been even better against lefties. So that's not a concern. And hopefully they run out a bunch of them. Houston also, the ballpark is a pitcher's park, but the exception to that is that right-handed power plays up because of the Crawford boxes. So if you're running more lefties out there, it's even better for Verlander. So absolutely love Verlander. Have him projected as the top pitcher on the slate. It's not even close. The only thing that's tough, so on one hand, it probably won't be that difficult to get to him because you don't have a Coors game, as you had mentioned before. But on the other hand, the cheap SP2s are just so bad that to get to Verlander, you're looking at paying, on DraftKings a combined, if you're going to feel decent whatsoever about your SP2, you're paying, 19, 20K. On FanDuel, you're paying a really expensive price tag. On Yahoo, you're paying $62. So the price is tough, but it's normally not that difficult to find value amongst hitters on an 11 game slate in the middle or beginning of September. You just have so many cheap hitters that are up from the minor leagues that it's not that tough. So Verlander, definitely a priority.
All right. Targeting against UC Kikuchi is definitely something to do. Don't worry about going for the lefty guys. Obviously, Jordan Alvarez is amazing. Josh Reddick there at the bottom of the lineup. He seems to be a Mariner killer. Not that matters, but I think he poked one out last night. He has a decent matchup here. You can get that wraparound stack and sort of cost average down Bregman and Altuve and Alvarez if you're working with Reddick. We should see Trinos in the lineup tonight, who was not in there last night, and then I'm guessing it'll be probably Kyle Tucker again, unless they, for whatever reason, give him a night off and put in Marisnik or something, but I don't think they're going to do that. But Houston going to be one of the more popular teams on the night. Thankfully, at least on DK, they are appropriately priced. Our next game here, Adam, we have Yu Darvish, who has been freaking phenomenal. His last 10 games, how many walks do you think he
His last 10 games?
That's all just the quick DK look there.
Yeah, it's like 3 or something.
Yep, look at that. He's not the best in the business for nothing, folks. It is 3 across the 62 innings. In those 62 innings, he does have 78 strikeouts. So 78 strikeouts versus 3 walks. Remember when we were nervous about him? Oh, yeah, that was well in the rearview mirror at this point. He's still carrying some crappy surface numbers, at least with his ERA, considering all of his underlying metrics. He's got a 4.3 ERA, but the strikeouts have just been outstanding this season. He's back 183 in 152 innings. Just phenomenal here. He gets a nice matchup against Milwaukee. This will be the second time he's gone against them. He shut him down. The first time allowed 1 solo home run, had 8 strikeouts, went 5 innings, but still cracked 26 DK points. The nice thing about this matchup is he's going against Gio Gonzalez, which has the Cubbies as a slight road favorite here. What do you want to do with Darvish?
So I think that under normal circumstances, I'd be really interested in him because, as you said, he's improved whatever issues he was having at the start of the year. Over his first 13 starts, he had 10 with a double-digit walk percentage. In 14 since then, he doesn't have a single one. And in 8 of those starts, he didn't walk anyone. Over those 14 starts, he has a 31.2% strikeout percentage and a 2.4% walk percentage. So I would be really interested. The problem is that Darvish was scratched from his last start with forearm tightness, and the Cubs have said that they would like to be conservative with his workload and get him out of this game as kind of like as soon as they can. Like they're not. I don't think they're putting an official limit on him, but it sounds like he's gonna have a very short leash today, and it's really tough to pay his price tag if you're not confident that he's even getting to like 100 pitches.
Very good call out on that. Wild card, they're 2 back from. They're also 2.5 back of St. Louis in the NL Central. Damn, I hadn't realized St. Louis was having one of the better records in baseball because there's a lot of mediocrity there in the NL Central. In any event, good call out there. That probably has him off my radar as well. I really don't want to go with Gio Gonzalez even at 7,900. I think there are other ways to go. Strikeout numbers are not great. It doesn't necessarily get blown up, but it's terrifying watching him pitch. I was watching him as a Nationals fan, and even before that, when he was with Oakland, he had some fantastic, phenomenal years. that is not the Gio Gonzalez we are getting at this point. Do you want to target any of the Cubbies against him specifically, or is this more home run hunting?
I think that you can just go to full Cub stacks because of how good their lineup is. Individually, I think that Castellanos and Bryant are the ones that really stand out. Assuming Baez won't be in the lineup again, if he is, then obviously he's a good play too. But Castellanos and Bryant, the ones really that stand out to me.
All right, cruising along here. Got 20 minutes to go. What do we got? 2, 4, 5 games. Plenty of time to cover all of these. We've got Cleveland and Minnesota. Aaron Savali, 9,600 on DK. Yikes. Jake Odorizzi, 10,200. Difficult matchup on both sides here. I respect Odorizzi enough that I really don't want to target against him. Cleveland does have a 4.3 implied run total, kind of on the lower end. Twins, on the other end, 5.3. They've just been outstanding this season. Jake Cave a little bit dinged up, Cruz a little bit dinged up, Garver a little bit dinged up because Garver is truly never actually healthy, it seems like. But depending on who is out there in the lineup, they are a stack consideration here just because they have power from both sides of the plate. They don't strike out a ton, and they're just solid all-around hitters, which is just amazing that they've compiled this sort of lineup here. Any interest at all in the pitchers?
On Yahoo for Odorizzi, I guess. The Indians lineup is pretty good. Most of their good hitters are left-handed, but you do have right-handed power in Mercado to some extent, and then Puig and Reyes. So those guys really scare me against Odorizzi. And then low strikeout percentages for Lindor, Santana make it not a great spot. Certainly not interested in him at 10-2 on DraftKings, but 35 on Yahoo seems okay. I would still rather roster Stroman at 32.
All right. Let me see here. If you were looking for a home run against Savale and you had to pick 2 guys to pair from the Twins, because hey, Twins, get it? See what I did there? What gotcha. 2 would you go with?
I'm pulling up his. Wow, he's been really good so far at limiting, at limiting power, but the strikeouts, at least against righties, haven't been there. Not sure what his minor league splits were, but I would just take the best hitters. So Cruz left yesterday's game early. Not sure if he'll be in the lineup, but Eddie Rosario really affordably priced, 4,500 on DraftKings. And then if Cruz isn't in, then Kepler.
All right, and that makes sense. Kepler, pull this up. He's actually was higher up on the home run charts than I had expected. Here he is 3rd in the AL. Now, granted, he is 9 behind Mike Trout, who has 45, Soler has 40, and Kepler has 36. Cruz has 35. He's been dinged up throughout the season, so just a little bit of time. And then JD Martinez at 34. Pete Alonso leading the league in home runs, tied with Trout at 45. That is just outstanding. He has been quite the budding superstar thus far. Hopefully that keeps up for the Metropolitans. The Nationals, Atlanta, Julio Teheran, $9,000 going against a tough Nationals lineup here. On the other side, you have Austin Both. I have no interest in him in Atlanta. It is going to be in the low 90s at first pitch. We have a breeze of 8 to 11 miles an hour going out to center field. This one feels like a game where I want the power hitters. Hello, Matt Adams, revenge, right? Matt Adams, so good they actually had to play Freddie Freeman at third base when he was with the Braves.
Yeah, give me the bats here. Kind of surprised that the Nats only have a 4.4 implied run total right now. I am not a believer in Julio Teheran whatsoever. He used to be moderately good against right-handed hitters and couldn't get out lefties. Now he just can't get out anyone. The Nats are a really tough offense. He's been surprisingly good at limiting power this year, but not a lot of strikeouts. Just I don't think a very good overall pitcher. He has a 5.13 Sierra. Really, the only thing he's done well is keep his home runs per 9 below 1. But the Nats just give you so many bats that put the ball in play, but also have power. The hitting conditions look really good. Looks like it should be about 90 in Atlanta with the wind blowing out yet again. So Matt Adams is a great value, I think, but the more expensive guys also, Soto, Rendon, and Turner. I'm looking now. Teheran used to have a lot of trouble holding runners. I'm not sure if he fixed that. Like I'm sure Trey Turner will try and run regardless if he gets on base because that's what he does. But at least in the past, that would have been a really good spot for him.
All right, I was just looking. Teheran under contract 1 more year next year, $12 million. He's just 28. Feels like he's literally been around forever.
Yeah, he was one of their like really hype prospects. So I feel like I've been hearing about him since I was in like high school.
Yeah. So in any event, that was
13 stolen bases allowed this year. Looks like he actually grades out a little bit above average. Or no, he's been a little bit below average this year. He like years ago graded out above average, and then over the last 4 years, he's been below average, average, and below average at holding runners.
I'm just looking here. Trey Turner, 30 stolen bases on the year, 30 in 5 caught stealing, 5th overall in the league. God, 30 is that used to be a month for Ricky Henderson and Vince Coleman. It's just the game has changed. Malik Smith leading the league at 40. Adalberto Mondesi 4 behind. He is going to get this one, and then Acuna at 34. VR at 33. So with numbers there, definitely look for the bats both sides here. As Adam mentioned, I go up and down the lineup depending on your side of choice. If Gerardo the Shark Parra is in the lineup, 32 on DK, that is going to be a nice salary saving source. He is multi-position eligible. He's been playing a little bit of first base there for the Nationals, also outfield, of course, but he is someone that will be or actually is in my shell lineup right now just because of that price point, and I have Verlander as well, so I needed some wiggle room. But throwing that one out there. Let's see, 3 to go here. Colorado in San Diego. Jeff Hoffman going against the Pod Squad. Joey Lucchesi on the other side is intriguing. Any notes on a Lucchesi workload, pitch count, anything like that? Because at 9,300, I am somewhat intrigued. It's just that he's been sort of a little bit hit or miss. He's gone over 102 of his last 3, but in 2 of his last 10, those are the only 2 games he's gone over 100. What do you think we see tonight? Because this is a nice matchup for him against the Rockies.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on his, on being limited, but he's kind of always limited. It's like you said, he's going over 102 of his last 3 starts, but that's still out of the norm for him. So that's the biggest concern. 9,300 on DraftKings really is not an appealing price point as far as his ability to exceed value there, but it is appealing just because he's cheaper than Chris Bassett. He's cheaper than he's like the cheapest good pitcher on the slate, basically. So it's somewhat appealing there. And then on FanDuel, you get him at a really cheap price tag at I think like 7,600. Yahoo, he's 37 or 38. So it's another situation where very affordable on Yahoo and FanDuel, less so on DraftKings, but more affordable on DraftKings than guys like Odorizzi and Heaney. So probably ends up in some lineups. 3.8 implied run total for Colorado. The only right-handed hitters in the lineup that you worry about are Story and Arenado. So pretty good spot.
All right. Hoffman, there's a 3-game late slate. There are 6 total pitchers. We have to play 2 of them. We're looking at Tyler Beatty, Jordan Zimmerman, and Jeff Hoffman. He will be in some of my lineups there, and that's a hope that he goes 4 innings and maybe allows 3 earned runs and maybe gets 4 strikeouts. So what does that work out to? About 2 DK points, as long as he doesn't go negative. That's the only place I will be looking to play him. If you're going to the Padres, Manny Machado, just I don't know what's going on with him this season. Price is down. Production's been adequate, but not exactly what the Padres are paying for here. But he is probably the guy I want to look for. Hunter Renfroe, they hate him now. He's literally never makes it in the lineup anymore. I have no idea what the Padres are doing at this point. But those would be the 2 bats I like the most. I think it's 50-50 that Renfroe even is in the lineup, though, and he's healthy. So I don't know what's going on there. Anything on the Pod Squad here?
I would want to back up and say that Jeff Hoffman, I think, is the best SP2 on DraftKings.
Oh, okay. Well, set me straight then, please.
It's not that I like Hoffman. It's not that I disagree with you about him not being very good, but he's only 5,100. Your other options are Dylan Covey at 4,200 against the Angels, Stephen Brault at 6K against the Cardinals, or you can take $5,100 Hoffman outside of Coors, facing a Padres team that doesn't have as many strikeouts as they have for a lot of the season, but they also no longer have Franmil Reyes or Fernando Tatis in their lineup. So pretty watered down lineup. The guys like Machado, Hosmer, Renfroe are still dangerous, but for the most part, it's not the worst lineup. And Hoffman has, as you would expect, been better in his career outside of Coors. Still hasn't been good, but a 21.3% strikeout percentage away from home compared to 16.3% at home. XFIP is 5 on the road, 5.18 at home, 345 WOBA on the road, 394 at home. So he's a bad pitcher regardless, but you just don't really have good mid-range options on DraftKings. You don't have good value options. It's going to be really tough to make lineups that are like Justin Verlander plus Joey Lucchesi, and I don't really know where else to go. So I think that that on DraftKings specifically, Hoffman actually projects as the top point per dollar pitcher.
I did not realize he was the 9th overall draft pick.
He would have been the number 1 overall pick, but he had to have Tommy John surgery.
So we probably don't give him enough. I mean, the pedigree coming in,
Yeah.
just looking at him, it's like, wow. It's just unfortunate that he's pitching in Coors.
Yeah, 24% strikeout percentage at AAA this year. Has the stuff. He was part of the Tulowitzki trade from Toronto.
Yeah.
But yeah, would have been the number 1 overall pick, but he tore his UCL or whatever that season at East Carolina, so he fell to 9th.
Just looking here, he not to be confused with Jeff Hoffman, the second Jewish man into space. That was the other name I looked up when I was trying to find his Wikipedia page. There you go. That and $3 will get you a drip coffee at Starbucks. 2 more to go. Jordan Zimmerman with 2 ends. The home runs, Adam. He's been keeping the ball in the park. The rest of his game sucks. He's not effective. He had was it 2 years ago where he was all of a sudden this changeup was working again or something, and he was moderately decent, not worth $22 million. He still has 1 year left on his 5-year, $110 million there for the Tigers, but he has allowed 1 home run in each of his last 3 games. But on the season, just 14 in 94 pitches. Would not expect that low of a number considering he has a 6 ERA, just a 1.4 whip. So he hasn't been blowing up. It's like sequencing, poor timing, and the absolute lack of strikeouts. He's got 69 strikeouts in 94 innings. Double play is his best friend. Anything on Zimmerman here, perhaps in the lens of the late slate?
No, just a brutal matchup for him. I mean, like in the late slate, I guess I don't even know if I'd rather roster him than Beatty. Like Beatty's a better pitcher. The matchup sucks for both. I don't have anything positive to say here. The A's don't strike out. The A's have a lot of power. The A's have a lot of good hitters. The park and the weather are good for pitching, I guess.
All right, there you go. You would find something nice. Bassett on the other side. Ben Solid gets the excellent matchup here against Detroit. Detroit coming in with 3.3 implied run total. We are paying apex prices here for Bassett on DK. However, he is, 7th most expensive pitcher at 82 on FanDuel there. And then he is the 4th most expensive, but a $20 discount from Verlander. How do you feel about Chris Bassett, run prevention, and a little bit of strikeout upside for him in this match?
Obviously a really good matchup against the Tigers. Good park. He's priced up everywhere, but especially on DraftKings again at 9,800. But it's kind of like Joey Lucchesi, where the price point's not appealing whatsoever, but neither are the price points on most pitchers. So if you can't get to Verlander, I think that it's probably going to be easier to pay 9,800 for Bassett than to pay like 11,500 for Andrew Heaney. So I can see him getting into some lineups for that reason. On FanDuel, he's more affordable at 8,200, 42 on Yahoo. The issue with him there is that Andrew Heaney is not that much more expensive, and I do think Heaney's the better pitcher without a doubt, and he projects better for me. So, yeah, I guess kind of like a secondary option where I'm not upset if he gets in the lineups because he's facing the Tigers in Oakland, but I just don't think that he's at a really favorable price point relative to other pitchers, especially on FanDuel. And it's weird because I think that on DraftKings, he's just not an appealing price point. And on FanDuel and Yahoo, he is, but relative to other pitchers on those sites, he's not.
Let's see here. I had massive amounts of Chad Pinder in my lineups. I think I mentioned that to you pre-podcast, and I last night in the night. Damn you, Chad Pinder. That was after I was asleep, of course. I also missed the 3 home runs by AJ Pollock. So
yeah, the 3 hardest tip balls he's had all year.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting. Let's see. I was calling up that box score because I wanted to see who. Oh God, they still lost with his 3 home runs. That's funny. Let's see. He got it off 2 off Samardzija and then 1 off
Will
Smith.
Yeah.
I forgot there was a Will Smith pitcher in addition to the Will Smith catcher.
Will Smith faced Will Smith last night.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That is almost as good as the Moran brothers squaring off 2 days ago.
Yeah, first major league strikeout in his debut.
That is, it's pretty good. Yeah, I was laughing because I wondered if they had purposefully, because what was it? I think it was Alicia Hernandez, and he only went 3 innings, and they put the elder Moran brother in, and he struck out his younger brother. 10 years in the minors. Don't know that we'll see much of him after this call up, but it was a fun story nonetheless. Lost season does not even go to describe what's going on with Chris Davis. No, not that Chris Davis, the other Chris Davis. Which Chris Davis would you rather be at this point, Adam? The one cashing the checks.
Yeah, either of them.
But I like Mark Conha, Matt Chapman, and Matt Olson in that order. Additionally, Marcus Semien, very good numbers. I think this season he has like a 200 ISO against righties. So I was looking at that last night as I was considering talking about the Athletics going against Zimmerman, and then I just started looking at Zimmerman's numbers, and I'm like, this son of a gun is not really going to get blown up. However, the Detroit bullpen, bottom 3 in darn near every metric there is, except strikeouts in their bottom 10. Final game of the night. We'll get this done in a couple minutes. Reminder, you get coming up next, Chris Randone and Sal Dietrich talking about the Yahoo specific contests. I will be posting shortly after lunch the free Yahoo $1 Million Baller article. I've been writing that one up. You have to put on a different lens when you're looking at things over there on Yahoo. Pricing is a little bit unique. It is a half-point PPR site. They do give you 1 flex spot. You do play defense there, no kickers, but it is fun. Stacking works, but it's not quite as needed, at least in the regular size contests, as you might see on the other sites. In the $1 Million Baller, you're probably going to want to have a little synergistic play there, but they've got some nice, if you're playing your cash games, I've already written up Lamar Jackson. He is coming out as an excellent point per dollar play, but who are you going to pair him with? So he's not really a good tournament option there, but I'm writing up some of the wide receivers. We've got cheapies with Amendola, and I think Cole Beasley was also pretty cheap. So those are some of the guys I'm looking at. That article will be up there shortly. If you have not yet signed up, you can get $30 deposit bonus matched up to your first $30 with your initial deposit over there on Yahoo. Go to the third paragraph in any of the Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. Get the link, get the promo code, and the instructions on how to claim that. It comes out in YSRPs, Yahoo Sports Rewards points, which are available for immediate use and entry into any contest. Final game of the night, San Francisco, LA. I actually like Tony Gonsolin a little bit here. I'm not doing cartwheels, but he is on my short list. He probably will be my favorite guy, maybe second behind Lucchesi on the 3-game late slate. But I like the matchup here for him. On the other side, you have Tyler Beede. I said bad things about Beede in the Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article today. He has allowed 2 lefties this season a 365 WOBA, a 200 ISO, and a 10% walk rate. Dodgers have plenty of them. Peterson, Bellinger, Gavin Lux. You can always look at AJ Pollock. Is 3 home run upside. Give a few words on Beede and Gonsolin, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, Beede's been a lot better against righties than lefties as far as strikeouts go this year. He's struck out about 24% of righties, 16.5% of lefties. He's given up power to everyone, 194 ISO to righties, 223 to lefties. It's a really scary spot for him, obviously, going into LA. So he's outside of San Francisco. It's supposed to be in the low 80s, so pretty favorable hitting conditions for the Dodgers. Lots of left-handed power on this team. Just really, really good team for the Dodgers and a good enough spot against Beede. On the other side, Gonsolin threw 92 pitches his last time out, so he is fully stretched out. He's, I think, 6,400 on FanDuel, and on Yahoo, He's $35, so decent pricing there. 86 on DraftKings is, again, they just took every pitcher and added $1,000 to where they probably should be. So I think that I would rather get to like Stroman or Lucchesi or Bassett than Gonsolin on DraftKings. Yeah, so not really looking at pitching in this game.
All right, we're going to get on out of here. YouTube chat. Van Dam from New York City says, call me crazy, but I love Dylan Hovey tonight against the Angels. Crazy. There you go.
There is one smart person in this industry that had that take, and yeah.
He got one good game out of him and then refuses to accept that he's a bad pitcher. What's up, El Jefe? I see you. I tweeted you this morning. There you go. All right, with that, we're going to get on out of here. Check out the On the Contrary. That was with Alex, Chris Baggs, and then Petty Theft. Petty Theft 89. You may know him better at the top of all the leaderboards, but he was there as the guest analyst on the Contrary. That is going to be a new rotating spot there, so check that out. But Travis Petty, very sharp, very charismatic. I enjoyed that one a lot. I'll be listening to that one again as I'm out and about doing errands today, because I'm going to make sure that one's on podcast format. With that, you can follow Adam at ShipMyMoneyDFS. I am at EMACDFS. It is Osmo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.